Your car?
Yeah, plates on the front, placards there too.
Anybody can hang a placard. I've seen plenty. You actually have a medical certification?
I do. It's in the glove box. If you want to read it, you can, but I'd rather not be treated like I'm faking.
Just making sure the space isn't being abused, that's all.
The wheelchair kind of makes that clear, doesn't it?
Officer Eric Nolan had no clue who the man in the electric wheelchair really was. As Andre Jefferson calmly loaded architectural scale models into the back of his modified van, Eric saw nothing more than what his bias allowed him to see. He didn't know this man had designed 3 major public buildings in Seattle. He didn't know Andre had testified before Congress on disability rights. He didn't know Andre had a legal team on Speed Dial 1 that specialized exclusively in Americans with Disabilities Act violations. Andre wasn't nervous. He wasn't begging. He wasn't trying to calm the situation down, because Andre Jefferson didn't need to. He was a 41-year-old architect who had spent 8 years navigating a world that constantly questioned whether he belonged in accessible spaces at all. And in just a few minutes, this ordinary Tuesday afternoon would turn him into the plaintiff in a federal civil rights lawsuit, one that would uncover 6 years of disability discrimination, cost the city of Seattle $750,000, permanently end a police officer's career, and send him to federal prison. Before we get into how insane this story really becomes, do this for me right now. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, your country, your state, anywhere. And if you've ever had someone question your disability, your parking, or your right to exist somewhere, you'll absolutely belong to it. Subscribe, because this story only gets worse from here. Andre Jefferson was one of the most respected architects in the Pacific Northwest. He graduated from MIT with honors. He worked for elite firms in Boston and San Francisco before opening his own practice in Seattle 7 years earlier. His firm specialized in accessible architecture, designing spaces that actually worked for people with disabilities. He'd won awards. He'd been featured in Architectural Digest, and 3 major public buildings in Seattle bore his signature. 8 years before this encounter, Andre's life changed forever. On Interstate 5, a drunk driver crossed the median, slammed head-on into his car. Andre survived, but his spinal cord was severed at the T10 vertebra. 6 months of rehabilitation followed. 6 months learning how to live as a paraplegic. Then he went back to work. Only now, his focus was sharper, more personal. He dedicated his career to designing environments that respected dignity, access, and independence. Andre drove a specially modified van with a side-deploying wheelchair ramp. He used a high-end electric wheelchair. He had disabled license plates. A placard hung clearly from his rearview mirror. Legally, unquestionably, he had every right to park in handicap spaces. That Tuesday afternoon, Andre had a 3 p.m. meeting with a developer interested in building a mixed-use complex in one, who specifically wanted an architect who understood accessibility from lived experience. Andre arrived at 2 p.m., parked in one of 4 handicap spots directly outside the building, and gave himself time to unload his materials. His presentation included physical models and material samples. He deployed the ramp, rolled out in his wheelchair, opened the rear doors of his van, and began carefully transferring architectural models onto a rolling cart. That's when a police cruiser pulled in behind him. Officer Eric Nolan was 32 years old and had spent 6 years with the Seattle Police Department. For the last 2 years, he'd been assigned to parking enforcement after multiple complaints about his behavior during street patrols. When Eric saw a van parked in a handicap spot and a black man moving equipment around it, something clicked. In his mind, he didn't process the wheelchair. He didn't process the ramp. He didn't process the disabled plates. He saw what he wanted to see. Someone he assumed was abusing handicap parking. Eric stepped out of his patrol car and walked up. Andre was focused on positioning a scale model when he heard footsteps. He didn't look up until the officer spoke. "You can't park here. This is handicap parking." Andre looked up, confused. He was sitting in a $12,000 electric wheelchair. His legs lay motionless on the footrests. The controls were visible on his armrest. He gestured toward the windshield. "I have a handicap placard. It's hanging right there." Eric barely glanced at it. "I need proof you're actually disabled." Andre stared at him. Then he looked down at his wheelchair, looked at his legs, looked back at the officer. "Proof? I'm in a wheelchair," Eric responded without hesitation. "A lot of people fake disabilities to use these spots." Andre blinked. "Are you seriously asking me to prove I'm disabled while I'm sitting in a wheelchair? Step away from the vehicle." Pause for a second. "Can you believe that?" Type your reaction in the comments. Andre felt anger rise, but his voice stayed steady. "Officer, I'm in an electric wheelchair. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I have a statued placard and disabled plates. What part of this looks fake to you? Eric's face hardened. Sir, step away from the vehicle so I can inspect your documentation. I can't step anywhere, Andre replied coldly. I'm paralyzed. Don't be difficult. Move away from the vehicle. I move on wheels because I can't walk. Inside the building, a security guard named Kevin Park had been watching. He recognized Andre immediately. He'd seen him dozens of times before. Kevin stepped outside. Phone already recording. Officer, that's Mr. Jefferson. He's an architect. He's clearly disabled. Eric snapped back. This is a police matter. Step back. I'm just saying he's in a wheelchair. What's the issue? Andre raised his own phone and began recording. For the record, I'm Andre Jefferson. I'm a paraplegic. I'm legally parked. You are demanding proof of my disability while I'm visibly disabled. Eric stepped closer. Turn that camera off. I have a First Amendment right to record, Andre said calmly. I'm declining that unlawful order. A woman walking by stopped. Officer, what are you doing? He's in a wheelchair. More. People stopped. Then more. Phones came out. Andre read Eric's name tag aloud. Officer Nolan, you've demanded proof of my disability. Ordered me to step away knowing I can't walk, and attempted to stop me from recording. This is discrimination. Eric reached toward Andre's phone. Don't touch me or my property. Kevin spoke up. I've got this all on video. A man in a suit pushed through the crowd. Paul Reynolds, the developer Andre was meeting. Andre, what's going on? Andre explained. Paul looked at the wheelchair, the ramp, the placard, then at Eric. What possible justification do you have for this? Eric threatened citations for obstruction. Someone laughed. Not mockery, disbelief. 9 minutes later, Sergeant Grace Liu arrived. She assessed the scene instantly. Officer Nolan, she said. He's in a wheelchair. Silenced. She turned to Andre. I'm sorry, you're legally parked. Andre nodded. I'm filing a formal complaint. Kevin handed over video. Witnesses volunteered statements. Andre finished loading his equipment and rolled in. Composed. Eric sat in his patrol car. Only then did it begin to sink in. This was all on camera. The internal affairs investigation began the next day. Captain Thomas Rodriguez reviewed every video, Andre's phone, Kevin's recording, the building's security footage. Every angle showed the same thing. An officer demanding proof of disability from a man in a wheelchair. Then Rodriguez dug deeper. Eric's record revealed 83 handicap citations in 6 years. 57% were contested. 39 were dismissed. 12 prior complaints. All ignored. Patterns of racial bias. Patterns of discrimination. The conclusion was unavoidable. Eric Nolan was terminated within 72 hours. The Department of Justice charged him with deprivation of rights under color of law. He pled guilty. 6 months in federal prison. Andre sued the city. They settled in 8 weeks. $750,000. Mandatory reforms followed. Training. Audits. Transparency. Andre became a national advocate. Eric lost everything. And the video of Andre calmly loading models in his wheelchair while being told to prove he was disabled became a symbol. 10 years later, Andre still tells the story, not for revenge, but for dignity, because no one in a wheelchair should ever have to prove what's already impossible to ignore.